I think my favorite thing about this whole story, my absolute favorite thing, is that not only is it a totally fan made production, it's something that the fans came up with. My favorite thing is that Disney and Pixar were like, yeah, do it. They approved of this, they greenlit this. Oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about here. A Ratatouille musical. It's one of those things where somebody says it and it's it's beautifully inevitable. It's like, yes, of course, a Ratatouille musical. That's how it was always meant to go in that direction. I'm just so excited about this. I will say I've watched most of it so far. It is available here on YouTube. You can watch like the rough version of it with the like Broadway actors they have playing it, including Titus Burgess from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's just amazing. So okay, what is this? What is this Ratatouille? That's what they're also calling it. I'm so ready to talk about it, but first, get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. I'm very low energy today because oh boy, the holidays have been particularly different this year than any other year. I'm kind of coming off of a very strange weekend. I spent most of yesterday kind of relaxing, and I'm a little fatigued from all that relaxing, which probably sounds terrible. But no, I finally beat Spider Man Miles Morales, which I've been kind of plugging away at past couple weeks. And fun game, really enjoyed it. Kind of came into this week ready to get to work, ready to get some stuff done, in all kinds of ways. So as you can imagine, I mean, literally right after I finish the stream, I'm going to be working on the Pixar book, and I'm going to be just doing some like Cinemaholic stuff. I already did some Cinemaholic stuff this morning, put out our latest episode. You can check that out, of course, on all the podcast apps, but that was, of course, a ton of fun. We're currently working on our top movies of 2020 episode, and that's coming out next week. It's a full time for me over here in the Bay Area. But yeah, when I was kind of looking at stuff to talk about, stuff to sort of share with you all, I had to share this one. This one was really fitting. First of all, like my current mood, which is a little wistful. I go back to work tomorrow, and my day job and everything, and we had a long holiday break, which was great, but I'm definitely gearing up for a pretty busy January, and in a lot of ways. And this was the kind of news story that like filled me with this sort of glee that I don't know, I don't get filled with that often. I did promise that I would do a little less soul content this week, and so far I hope I can keep that promise. But yeah, if you're jumping into the stream at any point, I might do some question and answer at the end of this. So send me your questions when you can or want to. But I'm ready. Let's talk about this Ratatouille, the TikTok musical. You read that right. This is a musical that started on TikTok. So I grabbed this. This is from BuzzFeed. Julia Reinstein is the author. Ratatouille musical goes from TikTok to almost Broadway. This article kind of explains like what's going on here, which is really fascinating to me. I really can't believe that this happened, and we're gonna dig in here. So, as the article states, toward the end of the Disney Pixar 2007 movie Ratatouille, the notorious food critic Anton Ego publishes a review of Remy the Rat's cooking that sums up the film's main message. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. And this is kind of setting up the mood of this project, which is, you know, something great, something like totally fan made and I don't want to say original, but like endlessly creative can come from anywhere. It can come from the humblest of origins, and that's the spirit of Ratatouille, which is what like makes this whole thing even better to me. That a musical is coming from this sort of thing. I'm not like a TikTok like super fan or anything. I get on TikTok, I watch things, it makes me laugh for sure, but it's not something I hadn't even heard of this musical until this past week, to be totally honest. And I guess I'm just not on the service nearly as much as I was on like Vine, for example. But I am aware of like the endless creativity that comes out of TikTok, and it is on display and then some with this thing. So as the article goes on, So this past August, it was just a few months ago, um, a 26-year-old elementary school teacher named Emily Jacobson. I've seen some of her videos at this point. Apparently, she was cleaning up around the apartment, started singing this little song about the main character, Remy. And as the day went on, I could not get it out of my head. And so I guess like TikTok people will know what this is coming from. It's a song that's like Remy, the Ratatouille, the rat of all my dreams. I can't sing it because I haven't listened to it enough to know it by heart. Yeah, this is kind of where this story starts of Ratatouille, the TikTok musical or Ratatouille, which I just have to reiterate is such an amazing concept. If you know the story of Ratatouille, of course, I just think like it lends itself so well to the idea of a musical. I don't know if that's just me, but like, especially when you watch this thing and it is on YouTube, like I said, you can just tell like, oh, yes. It makes me wonder what else would like transfer to musical status as easily from like animated films. I don't know. That's a fun thought experiment though. So yeah, I went from a TikTok in-joke to a streaming Broadway production, which is very true. So she posted the video on YouTube or TikTok just to make her friends laugh. It went viral. A bunch of theater geeks bored at home during the pandemic, and they kind of like banded together and kind of created this thing. So, okay, so here's the crux of this Ratatouille thing. So just a few days ago, Today Tix, which actually is something I've used before. Before the pandemic kicked in, I actually used Today Tickets to get tickets to see the Newsies because I was going to be in San Francisco and I wanted to see the Newsies, like the actual production. I hadn't seen like the Netflix thing before because I just didn't get to it. But I was excited. I was going to go with my partner, and the pandemic happened, so I never got to see it. But Today Tickets is a really cool service if you are into musical theater. But yeah, so this was a benefit concert for the Actors Fund, which is providing aid to out-of-work actors and other entertainment workers during the pandemic. Okay, so here is who is in the Ratatouille musical that they did. And to be clear, the Ratatouille musical, it streamed a few days ago. And the way it works is like, I can't show it because of copyright, but basically like these actors like filmed in their homes and they used like very low budget stuff, not crazy costumes or anything, but there are some really creative costumes. And they kind of stitched together these videos. And it's really well done. Like the music syncs pretty well. There's very few times when it feels a little bit out of sync. And as you can imagine, the performances are great because we're dealing with like really great Broadway performers. We have Titus Burgess from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, who is the lead character, Remy. And he's fantastic in this. And then who else is in this? It doesn't say who else yet, but yeah, raising more than $1 million in its first night, 160,000 ticket sales. That's how many people watch this. It's kind of amazing because we talk a lot about like virtual cinema for movies, right? And we're all kind of like looking at how streaming is going to pave the way for movies going forward. But what's fascinating to me about like a Ratatouille musical and how that's like, 160,000 ticket sales, kind of from mainly like word of mouth and like internet articles, is really impressive. That is a lot of tickets. Those tickets I don't think are very cheap. And yeah, it all went to charity, but it does make me wonder, like, are we going to get more like musicals and theater stuff for this reason? Because this was, from my estimation, pretty successful for like, yeah, as of Saturday morning, that's how much they sold. Yeah, it's the buzziest virtual theater event of the pandemic. Yeah, it's a digital tribute to a beloved underdog story and a dose of Broadway magic. Very true. Yeah, so I was kind of mentioning this before. So the performers appear in like split screen. It does kind of remind of like if you've watched TikTok before when people do duets. Yes, they're filming themselves in their homes, but you actually see people kind of like interacting, fake interacting and all of that. I did notice some of the choreography was a bit TikTok, like, which I guess that's a hard thing to quantify. But like when I think of like TikTok choreography, I think of it very over the top, very like, very youthful, very different. It's kind of got that little bit of an edge. I don't know if I have the authority to say something like that, but that's how it comes across to me. Oh, this is funny. The way I've kind of been describing it is like if a Zoom reading drank like 20 Red Bulls and then exploded onto the screen. Yeah, it's pretty fairly accurate. So, okay, here's who else is in the thing. Wayne Brady, so he plays Remy's brother, Emil. Adam Lambert plays his dad, and is when I first saw that, I was like, really? Adam Lambert's his dad? Like, he's not who you would normally consider, right? As somebody who would play a father, um, he's not that old, right? But actually, he does one of the first songs, and it's perfect. It actually is really perfect. And then yeah, they have Broadway professionals. They show like the orchestra at the very beginning. I didn't know this, that they actually had a Broadway choreographer do apparently some of that stuff. I was kind of wondering who did it, and I wasn't sure if it was like a professional or not. Um, but yes, what else do we have here? Yeah, this is a very grassroots thing. Like, when you watch it, yes, it's like adapted from an existing movie, but just creating this thing is very ambitious. Getting Disney and Pixar to sign on and be okay with it is, I mean, of course they had to give the money to charity. I'm assuming for that reason, for legal reasons. But it's so fascinating to me how like this thing could actually turn into like an in-person Broadway musical. I really hope it does, because like as you watch it, I could see it. Like I could see like, oh, if they had the costume right now, here's how the song would go. I was kind of picturing myself in the audience. I was kind of imagining the staging and the blocking, and how like some of the characters would be coming in, how the light would turn to like early on, like when Gusteau starts singing, and like I could totally see them pull off a pretty well done musical here. And it's not out of the question for this. So, I mean, come on, we have like The Lion King. I'm not saying Ratatouille the musical will be the next Lion King in terms of success, but never say never. I don't really think it's possible. The story of Ratatouille is anyone can cook, the story of the non-traditional hero being allowed to follow his dreams in a space that was previously hostile toward him. And as cheesy as it may be, that's the dream of many people. Remy is the hero of 2020. I think that's a better ending than I could have thought of. Yeah, I think for these folks, like, this was a great success for them in a year that was not the best. And I haven't mentioned enough the songs themselves. The songs themselves are so impressive. The Anyone Can Cook, especially the reprise, is unbelievably catchy. You can find the soundtrack on YouTube. It is so. I was gonna say funny, but it's more than funny. It's actually like really heart wrenching. Listening to this like Remy and Linguini singing this song, and like kind of belting it. It's fantastic. The Ode to Remy, yeah, that's a good one as well. I was going to bring up this too. So this is the actual playbill.com article that shows like more of the people involved. And I'll take this out of reader mode so you can kind of see what the playbill looks like here. Oh yeah, I guess you can't really. Oh yeah, there it is. That's the playbill. I'm curious if any of you think that this could actually like turn into a Broadway production for real. I really hope it does, because I think it's just so creative and wonderful. I don't have too much to add on top of all that. It really is just something I think is just so cool, and just I wish I could show part of it here, but I think I would get some copyright TOS thrown my way. So there you can kind of see some of the cast. That's Colette. I think that's Skinner. There's Remy, and there's Linguini. And then, yeah, Lucy Moss, Andre DeShields, and Andrew Barth-Feldman. I mentioned Titus Burgess. Wonderful casting. Particularly Lucy Moss as Colette is really perfect. That is one of the tougher casting things I think you could try to do, because Colette kind of like walks a line of being slightly unlikable but also really likable, in how she's like in control, and her relationship with Remy or Linguini, oh my gosh, has to be like perfect for it to work. That said, I think it really works here. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Ratatouille. I think that more people should know about it, which is why I'm streaming about it today. But if there's anything else I could get into here, let's going to answer some questions, because I got a few. I got one question here, and let me see if I can bring that up. So, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I got a question about the Pixar book. And someone wanted to know if copies are going to be available for the book outside of the US. And the answer is yes. You will be able to do that. It's a little tricky because some countries don't do Amazon, some do. For example, if you live in Australia, I think that there's like a different website that handles it. And I don't know for sure like how it's going to be different pricing wise because that depends on how long the book ends up being. Now this is specific to print copies because the print copies are going to be available everywhere. Or sorry, the ebooks are going to be available everywhere. Excuse me. The print copies will be a little more expensive to ship, according to my publisher. That was the case with my book Killer Joy because that one also is a book you can get on Amazon right now. You can get on Barnes and Noble and all that, Books a Million, all that stuff. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because I think like in Australia, you have to get it through a different site, and it might be a little bit more expensive than it is in the U.S. It's pretty accessible, like in Canada, Mexico, places in North and South America. Europe is mostly accessible. I don't want to say like every country. Like I think it's pretty accessible in like the UK and France, but I don't know about like Eastern Europe or anything like that. I don't know that off the top of my head. But yeah, thanks for the question. Whoever sent that my way, I forget their username. I responded to that as well. But that will be happening. You'll be able to get your hands on the book, the print copy, in some capacity. And yeah, as I was saying at the beginning of here, I'm ready to get into some more writing, of course. What other questions did I get? I did get a question about Soul. Someone was asking about the cat and whether or not the cat. I can't actually say without putting up a quick spoiler warning. So, spoilers for Soul if you haven't watched it. Somebody wanted to know if the cat dies at the end of Soul. I was looking into this. Apparently, like, yeah, there is a little bit of like, it looks like a plot hole where the cat in Soul dies, right? Like the Terry sends the cat back, and we actually see the cat's like soul go up to the great beyond. But then at the end of the movie, they also show the cat, like the therapy cat, back on Earth and happy. So I'm looking into that just to make sure I have all the facts on that correct. But from what I can tell, and I saw that Kent Powers was tweeting this. He's a co-director and co-writer of Soul. Apparently, they had something explaining that, but they cut it out of the movie. People wouldn't notice, which is very typical Pixar. And they considered like showing something over the credits to sort of explain what happens to the cat. They took it out because it was apparently like too cheesy for the tone that they were going for the end credits. That's what they're saying at least. I think they should have done it. That would have been funny. But yeah, apparently there is an explanation. We don't know what it is. Some people have like proposed like, oh, what if we did what if Pixar did like a short, like a short explaining what happens to the cat one of these days. It could be a Spark short or something they put on Disney Plus, maybe similar to like Fork Yes or Question or something like that. That's a funny idea. I think that's fun. I don't have a strong opinion on it either way. Okay, other questions. I saw there were a lot of reactions to the Soul Theory video I put out last week, and there were some people who were disagreeing, and I saw one of the big ones, one of the big like pushbacks to that whole series. This is theory, the one where like 22 becomes Riley, and I was saying that I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't believe in that theory whatsoever. But somebody was saying, well, John, Pixar could just sort of go back on this sort of thing. They did that with like Monsters University, and they've done things where like they've made a creative decision and then they end up reneging on it, retconning it, right? And yeah, that's fair. And if you can cling to that for sure. I think like my only thing is I don't see Pixar ever wanting to, like, they never create shared universe stuff like that to that degree, I don't think. And I don't see how they could, like, in the future, like if like for example, if there's like an Inside Out 2, like what are we talking about? Would Riley would we see Riley's soul and it would look like 22? I don't think so, because the characters don't look similar. I didn't even get into that in that video. It was like, it looks like the souls do kind of look different when they become a person, and they keep some characteristics. But yeah, there was nothing that I saw in Inside Out with Riley that even supposes that these two characters look anything alike or have any sort of connection. I don't know. It's probably a pretty minor thing in the grand scheme. But yeah, those were some of the responses. I appreciate all the responses, by the way. Send me any questions you have down the line. I'm always interested in what you all want to know about all things like Pixar and this channel and everything. But yeah, that looks like that's about it. I'll end it on one last please watch Ratatouille the musical when you get a chance. It's fantastic. It's so lovely and nice and sweet and everything that's good with 2020. Looking forward to this next coming week. Going to be talking about a lot of crazy. I have some topics in the can, and hopefully we'll be spontaneous and jump into things that come our way. I don't want to say randomly, but like things that just come up organically. But otherwise, there's a few things that I think we're gonna have some conversations about this coming week. But okay, I'll see you all later. Don't forget to like the video and ring the bell so you can know when I'm going live ahead of time, and you can join the live chat, of course. Always happy to have people in the live chat, chatting and interacting in real time. That's always the best. Take it easy, everybody. We'll see you all.